There are now 4 versions of Let's Go Brandon in the iTunes Top 10. What is going on? Why is this so popular? Let's take a deeper look at this phenomenon, because I think there is something far more profound at work than just merely a meme, a catchy meme. So the New York Post writes, what started as one chart-topping anti-Biden hip-hop anthem has quadrupled into 4 hit tracks in iTunes Top 10 on Friday as conservatives flocked by the tunes to prove their purchasing power. That in itself is significant. That's consumer activism. All 4 songs are titled Let's Go Brandon. And of course that started with the whole NASCAR thing when the crowd was chanting F Joe Biden, and the NBC anchor pulled this little switch and said, look, they're chanting Let's Go Brandon. Which of course is just so emblematic of what the media does every day. They gaslight us right to our face, and they suppress and deceive us at every turn. Let's Go Brandon also has a safe for work or safe for school portability, which makes it even funnier because you can basically say F Biden in a way that nobody can say, hey, watch your mouth, or that's vulgar or vile. It's very, very amusing. And so right-wing social media pundits are urging Republicans to buy the songs to send them up the charts to raise a metaphorical middle finger to left-wingers, as they accuse them of censorship, of course, controlling the culture. But I think it's also more. It's a criticism of everything Biden's done, from Afghanistan to the mandates, to the shipping issues, to the open borders, to the giving illegals almost $500,000. This is terrible policy. This is policy designed to destroy the country. This is their one Hail Mary to make their globalist utopia one world order vision before these Beatles-loving, John Lennon-worshipping guys are all too old to implement this or are gone. This is it, and we just have to batten down the hatches and endure it, I guess. So you can see, Let's Go Brandon, number 1. Let's Go Brandon, number 2. Easy on Me, Adele. Let's Go Brandon, number 5. And Let's Go Brandon, number 7. Bryson Gray told the Post he believes the song shot to the top because cancel culture doesn't work anymore. It only works on people who are scared. All it does is help me out. Thanks, YouTube. The North Carolina-born rapper, which I guess is the technical term for a black male between the ages of 16 and 25, cheekily declared. The musician also claimed big tech discriminates against Republicans, unfairly censoring them for their political beliefs, while those on the left can say whatever they want. He goes on to say, there's rap songs about killing people on YouTube. You can talk about murder, you can talk about sex, you can talk about whatever you want, but I simply can't question the narrative or I'll get banned. Yeah, exactly. And it's been going on for a long time now. And you can see the culture beginning to support anti-leftist, anti-globalists, anti-democrat policy and goals. And it's very important because for a long time, the left has just owned culture. And that's a big part of why all these insane policies are getting through, despite the fact that they're impossibly unworkable. But I want to look at something a little deeper than that, and I want to talk about a concept. And it's one concept, if I could push into public consciousness, that it would make me a happy man. And it's this idea of turning words. Now, this has been deliberately misinterpreted by some people, or maybe just misunderstood, but I think they're smart enough to know better, as merely being a very clever phrase. Well, a very clever phrase is just sloganeering, right? If I had meant very clever phrase, I would have said, we need very clever phrases. Of course, I made a 23-minute long video describing it. I'll provide a link to it below, on what exactly a turning word is. It's not a very clever phrase. And so I'll go over it again, Bruce, to make sure that this is understood. Now, in Eastern spirituality, turning words are words or phrases that dispel delusion and bring about a state of enlightenment. The idea being all the world we see in our day-to-day lives is illusion, and that is the cause of all of our suffering. Now, I don't want to argue spiritual hydraulics because that's not the point. I don't care. None of us have seen beyond the veil, or we'd be flying around strumming harps or something instead. But the idea is these words are so powerful, they cause a spiritual transformation from a state of blindness or dullness to spiritual enlightenment, satori, nirvana, bliss, what have you. Not merely a catchy slogan. Because there are good slogans, there are very clever phrases. Look at Make America Great Again. That's very catchy. Look at Build Back Better. Hell, even that's a catchy slogan, but it's not a turning word. Now, I use it in secular terms, I use it in terms of Western politics, because we live in an environment of such delusion, constant gaslighting and astroturfing and lying by our media creates a false sense of reality. Turning words are portable psychological technology that cuts straight through all of those media-driven illusions. Now here is the point, and this is what I want to get at. Truth has a virtue, okay? Virtue, think of virtue like the healing power of a root, like you have an upset stomach. Here, gnaw on this root and the virtue of that root will heal your stomach. Or, maybe you're a little constipated. Eat these prunes, they'll help clean you right out. Like that's the virtue of the prune. Now, lying brings a certain amount of power. Evil has a power to it as well. Like lying is very expeditious for getting what you want in the short term, but has a great deal of consequences on the back end. Nobody trusts you. It sows division and chaos. There's a lot of problems with being a liar. If you know a pathological liar, it gets to the point nobody trusts them or believes them at all. But in the short term, it works well. It's kind of like trying to medicate your depression with alcohol. Boy, that feels great for the first hour. For the next 20, you might feel like garbage, but it works on the front end. And that very short-term solution still can be seductive, quite seductive. Evil has a power and it has a consequence. But there are things that you lose as a result of being a liar. There are things that you lose as a result of serving evil. And there are powers that you gain as a result of telling truth. Think about this. Mirth, humor, laughter. Laughter is an expression of joy. When you see the truth, you go, ha-ha. To do a kind of a spiritual joke. How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Ha-ha, I see it. Life's unpredictable, right? If you don't speak truth, you lose that ability to laugh. You lose that ability to have humor. That's why the late night comedians aren't funny anymore, because they're just political propagandists. Truth has a virtue, one of which is laughter, humor, mirth. Now, telling truth, speaking truth gives you other powers. I just did a video called on Agree and Amplify. It's a technique which exposes the absurdity of an opponent's position. But it's only showing the absurdity because you have the truth and they do not. Agree and Amplify is a power you get from telling truth. Okay? Not very clever phrases here. Now, turning words are yet another expression of the virtue that comes from telling truth. Turning words elucidates truth so clearly that there is no response. And the best example I can think of this recently is when Joe Rogan told Sanjay Gupta, I can afford people medicine, mother effer. And his jaw just dropped and kind of, I never thought of that. There was nothing to say because it so clearly cut through all of the lies, all of the illusions. It laid bare in a handful of words the actual reality of the situation. It is a virtue of truth that it can be so succinctly stated as to cut the tongues out, metaphorically speaking, of those that don't speak truth. So think of like a debate in front of a classroom between a teacher and a fifth grader. The teacher has all the advantages. She knows more, she's older, she's better educated. Well, a turning word allows the fifth grader to defeat the teacher. It was kind of like if you think of the term fake news. Back in the day, when people believed the news, fake news was a turning word. The teacher could say, well, our president is, a Russian asset. And the kid could say in front of the class, that's fake news. Now fake news has kind of lost some of its punch because it's no longer a socially calibrated or relevant term, because everyone understands now that our news is fake. It no longer cuts through the veil of illusion like it used to, because we all see through that illusion. But at the time, fake news was a very potent turning word. Think of another example. The teacher tells her class, Islam is a religion of peace. And everyone's like, oh, okay, religion. And then one kid raises his hand and said, Islam is right about women. What can she say? Argument won. Point proven. It is a turning word that dispels the delusion, not a catchy slogan, not a clever phrase. Let's Go Brandon is showing the fact that it's portable. It's being chanted at sports games. It's on t-shirts. It's on coffee mugs. I see it at work in people's signatures. I live in Western Washington. I'm driving to my parents' house. There's this big retaining wall and this chain link fence, and at the top somebody had a giant Let's Go Brandon banner. And this phrase is dispelling delusions. It's dispelling the delusion that Democrats are good. It's dispelling the delusion that they have the moral high ground, which they've been holding forever, justifiably or not. This phrase, more than any discussion on the corporate tax rate, on the marginal return, none of that, this phrase will change people's votes. This phrase will change people's political party. This phrase will change policy. This phrase will change the very direction of our country and therefore the direction of the world. These turning words, Let's Go Brandon, are changing the way people perceive reality. It is not merely a clever phrase. It reveals the truth so clearly and so absolutely that the opponents of truth are gobsmacked. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. You've kind of seen the left attempt to clumsily co-opt the Karen meme. Of course, Karen isn't really a turning word. It's just kind of one of those internet memes that propagates, and they've muddied the water enough that people seem to have dropped it. But they can't do much with Let's Go Brandon. I've seen them try, but you just can't do a heck of a lot when entire stadiums of people are, chanting F the president. And so to try to sum it all up, truth has a virtue all its own. Truth has a virtue which destroys the lie. As Epictetus says, one man with truth can destroy an army of liars. It has a quality. It is a light in darkness. And turning words are one of these 1 million candle power lights that blast away all darkness and all deception. They are portable psychological technology that's socially calibrated and can be deployed in a second, that conclusively and definitively end the argument to the subject at hand, piercing through the lies and deceptions of the evil. And it is a quality or virtue only available to those that speak truth or are aligned with good. And if someone with evil intent happens to stumble upon one by accident, it immediately bounces back and serves to undercut their own agenda. Let's Go Brandon may very well be the turning words that bury the globalist New World Order experiment forever.